Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master. We are here with day 154 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where we discuss all things Magic: The Gathering. Oh yes, we better believe you love Magic. You're in the right place. And so for the first part of the show, we do Q&A and Magic discussion, and then the second part we do Decklist review, where if you've got a 75 that you need some feedback on, send it on over, and you'll be eligible for getting that feedback both from myself and from the community. You better believe we know all the cards. Even if I don't even know what a card, I'll be like, is there like a creature with like pro green and double strike? And someone will be, yeah, we got it. I know exactly what it is. Somebody knows here. So you better believe that you can be here to get feedback from the community. So step one, brew up that cup of coffee and let's brew up the magic. Brew up the magic every single weekday, Mondays to Fridays, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And with that, I'm just going to quickly slide my way into the Magic channel. So we actually have some news over the weekend. There was literally a Mythic Championship. Little Mythic Championship. Nothing to see here. Historic was it was a split format between Historic and Standard. I'm pretty happy about how they split it up like that. I have no problem with there being like limited only Mythic Championships and like constructed only Mythic Championships. I can tell you as a constructed player, I absolutely do not want to play in a high stakes event that is split between limited and constructed. I think that's absolutely stupid. Most people who qualify for a particular event are going to do it within it's not like I qualify to the Pro Tour playing in a GP that was split between limited and constructed. It was just one of them. Right? So why would they split it up when you get to like the Pro Tour? I think that's really dumb. So I really like that this was a constructed only Mythic Championship. And you know what? For the limited people out there, limited is still popular. I think limited is super underrated. A lot of people say no one likes seeing limited. That's only the constructed players. I'm also one of them. I do not want to watch any limited. I hate it. However, I definitely think that there is room to have like it is still relatively popular. Not as popular as constructed, but still brings in numbers. So we got top 8 of the Mythic Championship. Some familiar faces. We've got Autumn Burchett, Andrea Mengucci, Gabrielle Nassif, Brad Nelson, maybe some less known faces. Yan Moritz, Luca Magni. Thomas Picorni, and I want to say Bradley Barclay is a name I'm familiar with, but I don't know from where. But here's the kicker thing. Historic has Muxus and Pioneer has turn 3 to Fairy. So Brad Barclay won the whole thing. Congratulations, Brad. With, in my opinion, slightly surprising deck. Let's go check out the Historic deck of Brad Barclay. No Uros. Decides to play Control, Narset, which I'm sure is going to prevent the Uros from getting any value to Fairy Hero of Dominaria, which in my opinion is miles above and away way better than Jace the Mind Sculptor. Main deck Grafdigger's Cage. Great meta call to hit the Muxus decks and also hit those Uro decks at the same time. And it doesn't affect your Uros because you don't even have any Uros inside your deck. And like, look, this control deck is playing with Grafdigger's Cage, and some people criticize me for having Mistcaller in my main deck for Merfolk. They're like, that's a sideboard card. Look, people. Let's go. Let's just find a Muxus here. Autumn was playing Muxus. This card is so dangerous. You got to be prepared for it, because if it resolves, you die. I mean, you could snap lose because they can find the goblin that gives all other goblins haste. They have a giant army of goblins on the battlefield, and then you snap lose. You have to be prepared for Muxus. You have to be prepared for Muxus big time. Or else you can just snap lose to that stupid card. So for Wrath of God, good sweeper effect. Basically, the win conditions seem to be Shark Typhoon. Yeah, baffling. It's baffling that Blue Eye Control was so well positioned, because everyone thought that you had to splash green. You had to go Sultai. You had to go Bant. You had to go one way or another. And Brad just went straight Blue Eye Control. You know what? Screw all that garbage. I'm just going to play with counter spells like Absorb and Censor, Ether Gust, Disdainful Stroke. And that's it. and it's such a clean deck. It's such a clean list. It's so normal looking. Narset part avails in the sideboard, timely reinforcements. A pretty typical looking sideboard for control, including Dovin's veto. But anyway, it was pretty interesting that, at least in my opinion, the most surprising thing is that an Azorius control deck won the entire event. Still strong deck, of course, but I think pre-tournament someone would have criticized, why aren't you running green for Uro? Don't you know there's like Uro in this format? That card is insane. That card could get banned. Why are you playing with banned cards instead? Just going straight blue-white control. Blue-white control. And then Autumn with the I'm not going to look at the standard decks. I really don't care. Autumn with Goblins, which we already knew before even the Mythic Championship started. Goblins was one of the decks to beat. Could debate even that it's the best deck to beat. They've got everything between Skirk Prospector being a really good one drop that just ramps you into your Muxus, because Skirk Prospector, you sacrifice goblins, you can sacrifice tons of goblins and then ramp your Muxus out early, because Muxus can, as I said, can win the game on the spot because of Goblin War Chief. Goblin spells you cast cost one less to cast, but goblins you control have haste. So you play out your Muxus, and then you can end up with like a Goblin War Chief, a Goblin Chieftain. You could get a Krenko at the same time, has haste, can automatically tap it, make a million tokens that are going to get pumped up by the Goblin Chieftain. It's insane. And then you just die on the spot. I've died a lot of times. I hardly remember the times I've lived through a Muxus that resolved. It's just crazy. And we got a Wily Goblin here. Now I don't know if this is too unique, but I'm not that familiar with, Mind Stone being in these lists, but definitely makes sense to ramp into your like Krenko and Muxus all the same. And always can just get exchanged for another card. And Herald's Boon, Herald's Horn. Then enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creature spells you cast with the chosen type cost one less to cast. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So like a lot of good grind in this deck. Probably prepared for the control decks. Probably this is like a little tacked out to beat control. What the other let's look at the other lists. Hold on. Okay, before we go into the other lists, let's welcome everyone this great morning. Good morning, Kyoka 620. Good morning, Black Dove. Good morning, Reality. Good morning, Mikey J. I am ready, absolutely. Historic more popular than Pioneer? Well, but that's the thing. It's more popular right now because it was pushed for the Mythic Championship. When Wizards start saying, hey, look, we got a Pioneer Mythic Championship coming up, better be prepared. People are going to start playtesting for it. Feels like limited players have a big advantage in limited/constructed split. I would agree. I think they can. A lot of constructed players can get to a high level just by running the tier 1 deck. And of course, you just can't do that. You can't just automatically have the skills when it comes to limited. Definitely, I think the most prominent people that you've seen at Pro Tours winning are the ones who are a combination of loving limited and constructed. Cat decks as well. Cage hits a lot of decks. Yes, the cat decks as well. There is so many graveyard decks in Historic, it's fine to main board grave hate. Hey guys, good morning. Could Muxus be in Modern Horizons 2? Would it be fine in Modern, or would it be too problematic? I'm pretty sure it would be fine. I don't, because Goblins is already doing some stupid things. I think it's still difficult to get to 6 mana in Modern. There's just so much removal. They could print it in Modern Horizons 2, and I actually don't think it would do anything. Or would it? Maybe they would start building decks to just ramp out Muxus. We would have to see, because Muxus sees play in Legacy. So I want to say, oh, it won't do anything, but maybe it will do something. But again, Modern is a more removal-heavy format. Getting that Skirk Prospector to resolve would be more, or getting it to live would be more problematic. Or they could sandbag the Skirk Prospector to the moment that they have enough creatures on the battlefield that they sack it for the Muxus. Hard to tell. But we do know it's a shaker in both Legacy and Historic. Good morning, Neil. Oh, we all know if they tested the waters, it'd mean nothing. They don't know how to test for Modern. So basically, cheating bullshit into play in Historic is the pillar of the format that has to be hated out. Well, I mean, it's one of the best decks, but it's not the only like deck there. Oh, good games in Among Us. Good games, Balada. Sorry if I'm skipping ahead a little bit too much. I don't like that Modern has that like Modern not having access to certain historic cards, but like we don't have access to a lot of legacy cards, so we're sort of like, where's our true name Nemesis? Where is it? So tons of cards in Modern that we don't have. Must be printed in a standard legal set. Historic actually needs Plague Engineer? No, it does not. No, let's not go down there. Let's not do this. Cactus of Vishmok would love Muxus. Also, congratulations to Cactus of Vishmok winning. What is the event? It was like some sort of Modern qualifier event. Got first place. Fantastic finish with Goblins. So Cactus of Vishmok would love Muxus. Yeah, there could be a Muxus Tron, I guess. What cards do you like to get reprinted in Modern Horizons 2 from Legacy or Commander cards? I mean, you mean like fair cards? Fair cards that I would like to see getting reprinted into Legacy? I mean, maybe... I'll think about that for later. I'll think about... I've been asked this question before, but I can never like give a great answer because I want things like Force of Will and True Name Nemesis and stuff like that. Actually, Mikey J just helped me. Do you believe that Modern needs a stifle effect that can be played for free somehow? No, not free, but I think we could have stifle in Modern. I mean, if that was a card, I think, I may not even use it. Actually, probably Merfolk would. We lose to so many stupid like activated abilities, but the thing is, it needs to be mana efficient. Yes, there's a lot. There's like Tail's End and stuff like that. It needs to be cheap, people. It needs to be 1 mana. Yes, it will punish fetch lands. There's not even that many fetch lands anymore, to be honest. The only decks that'll punish are like the Death Shadow decks. Stifle is a card that I think would be a welcome addition in Modern. It would be very interesting. It would probably end up. I mean, it's not as bad as people think, but I think Stifle would definitely see play. Stifle would definitely see play in Modern. I think that is a card that I would like to see, both maybe to use myself, but also to see other people to use to attack other decks. Like you can stifle, oh man, well, the things are unlimited. You can stifle like the Expedition map trigger when you crack it. You can stifle Engineer Explosive when it goes off. You can stifle a Blast Zone when they blast it off. You can stifle the ETB trigger of a Seasoned Pyromancer, so they only have a 2/2 body for 3 mana and they don't get to draw any cards. I mean, there's a lot of application to stifle, I think, in the Modern metagame. So you could stifle the... I don't know you can stifle, actually. I don't think you can stifle anything against Oops All Spells, because let's say 4 Vengevines trigger, you can stifle one of them, but 3 of them are still going to resolve, and you're still probably in a lot of... Oh, you could stifle... Okay, you could stifle the ETB trigger of Balustrade Spy. You know, that's right. It would work. It would work. So you have to... if you can counter the front end, yeah, that's right. It'll work. Thinking about the back end stuff, it doesn't work. Nikachu, what card printings do you think can make Delver competitive for Modern without unbanning cantrips? You can't. I don't know. I mean, I maybe Stifle will help the deck so that other decks can't like curve out. But it's like Death Shadow is Delver. Death Shadow in Modern is Delver. That is the Delver deck. And there's nothing else I can say about it. That is the tempo. That is like the tempo Delver deck. The OG, or one of the OG blue Death Shadow decks was just Delver plus Death Shadow, and after enough playtesting, they just scrap the Delver because it's just a worse win condition. You need free spells, I guess. You need free ways to protect your Delver. Things like Daze, Force of... I don't know if they would always protect with Force of Will, but you need free ways of protecting your Delver, and Modern doesn't have that, like Legacy does. Legacy has a lot of free ways of protecting your Delver. Cantrips, it would be nice to have cantrips, but I honestly, if you gave Modern Brains a Ponder for example, Ponder, Preordain. I don't think it would help the Delver decks at all. Like, you need to protect the Delver. The Delver needs to live. You can have all the Ponders in the world. Okay, Delver. Oh, Bolt! Fatal Push. It's dead. It's over. It's gone. It's gone, people. It's gone. You can stifle a sword from entering, or you could stifle the equip. I don't know what you would want to stifle. You could stifle the germ token, the ETB germ token happening. So they just put a 5 mana artifact on the battlefield. Stifle actually has a lot of Stifle. That's probably something that we could realistically see in Modern Horizons too. Stifle. I would enjoy Daze. Daze would be interesting if they put that in Modern. Although it might make the blue death. Well, it might make the blue Death Shadow decks better, but they're not. They're sort of trending down right now. Honestly, I think I don't know if we're there yet, but like Death Shadow isn't like getting in dangerous territory. It's like a super powerful, popular deck, and the Scourge of the Skyclaves didn't like ease the situation of Death Shadow, just made it more powerful and more popular. All right. So what else happened in the Zendikar Championship? So we've got this is Dimir. Oh, look at this Dimir Rogues list for Standard. I said I was not going to look at the Standard decks, but you know what? When I see Gadwick the Wizened, even as a 1-of, I get excited. We have a 1-of Gadwick the Wizened. Really underrated card. Love this card. Love this card. Draws cards like crazy. See, here we go. Here's Bant Uro. So for 4-color mid-range. What's green, blue, white. Gotcha. Just a very light white splash for Yasharn. What did Andrea Mengucci play in this event for Historic? Again, like 4-color Uro. Basically Sultai. Oh, it seems to be like the flavor was Sultai Uro with a Yasharn. Whenever Yasharn enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic forest card and a plains card. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activated abilities. Screw those Cat Oven decks. And then we've got Jan Mortiz Merkel, who was on, again, Sultai Uro. Sultai Uro. Gabrielle Nassif, also on the Uro train, Sultai Uro. Brad Nelson, Sultai Uro. Well, actually, no, the Yasharn deck, so the 4-color Uro. It's Sultai Uro, let's be serious. Very light splash. Thomas. What are you up to, Thomas? So are they going to ban Uro or something? But the weird thing, so another Sultai Uro deck, but the thing is the winning deck list didn't play Uro. The winning deck list had no Uros. What was the explanation? Does anyone know why? Did anyone interview Brad Barkley and ask them about their choice for Azorius Control? Like, how do you, in this economy, sleeve up a pure blue-white control deck in a metagame full of Uro decks? And clearly, Uro crushed the top 8. I mean, like, it was just full. Like, it crushed the event. This whole top 8 is full of Uro decks and a single Muxus deck and a blue-white control deck. What is the edge here? Yeah, mainboard Cage probably did a lot of work. Maybe you could add 4 of them. But this was the deck that ended up winning out on everything else. And cast out, of course, exiling the card. So, I mean, even if you get to escape your Uro, it's going to be gone. Probably something bad is going to happen to Uro in Historic, especially now that we saw the results of this top 8. What is this, like 5, 6 Uro decks? Did we count right? 6 Uro get? At least 5. 1 Goblins, 1 Blue-White Control. Yeah, I know it's all over the play. Like when I played Historic, I played against 4 Sultai Uro decks. Exactly what we basically see in here. So anyway, still, that being said, Historic, I think, is still a lot of fun. But, you know, let's be practical here. When you have to main deck hate like this, usually that's a sign that there's a problem. When you got to put your surgical extractions in the main deck in Modern, that's a sign that there might be a problem with the format. When you got really powerful hard graveyard hate that's normally relegated to the sideboard in the main deck, maybe, just maybe, this is a sign that there is a problem. Although Cage does hit a lot of cards in the format. Like, it's a pretty graveyard and library oriented format right now, between, Muxus, Cat Oven, and all the Uro decks. I was talking to the boss about this. You might see Blue Control for the next few days, but the Uro list will continue to be all over by the weekend. Oh, of course. Of course. I mean, maybe this particular Blue Control player knew this deck inside and out and knew it had a really good plan against the other Uro decks, but maybe not everyone can play it like them. Yeah, but here's the thing. So here's the deal. In order for Uro to get banned, I mean, maybe they'll ban it. Maybe they'll ban Uro. But like, Oko got banned because everyone got pissed and voiced their opinion on, on social media. Until that happens, usually, like, Wizards sits on their hands. They don't do anything until there's like a lot of angry feedback. Yeah, Cage hits Coco in Neo form. Is it like, I have a question though. What decks are playing Coco? I actually don't know. I haven't seen any Coco decks. I know Coco's in the format. I play Coco, but I'm a Merfolk deck. I'm not even like 0.0001% of the metagame. I'm like the only Merfolk player out there. Maybe some other people are out there too. Oh, so there's a banned Spirits deck? I know they have the Lords. They do have the Lords. They have 2 Lords out there. Yeah, why isn't Spirits more of a presence in the metagame? I guess they're missing Spell Queller. As a red mage, I love Cage in the main board. I'm just like, okay, dead card, here's my win. Yeah. Spirits, yeah. Some Jund and Gruelist do, but it's like a 40-60 chance. Okay. Uro even looks like a float in the band parade. Yep. Big blue-green float. Helid combo, please. Coco, is there a Helid combo deck in Historic? We are talking about Historic right now. Is the combo? No, there's no Walking Ballista, so there's no Helid combo as far as I'm concerned. Unless there's another combo I'm not familiar with. Uro crushes Spirits? Well, that's sad. Spirits, some sacrifice decks, and then there's a green-white deck with Yasharn floating around. They all play Coco. Okay. I'm building Spirits. Did Historic, but I'm 23 rare short. Ouch! I can tell you, I've spent 72,000 gold to get 16 wild cards, and you're like 1.5x times that. So you need like 110,000 gold probably to fix the rest. Yeah, don't worry. We're just talking Historic only because the last Mythic Champion was Historic. Also, welcome Basic Land Shark. I think Spirits is missing Selfless Spirit and Historic. Are they missing that too? Maybe they're just missing too many cards. Selfless Spirit is a very important one. Yeah, confirmed. Not legal in Historic. That is a big one. Selfless Spirit protects you from the sweepers and also allows you make really good blocks against your opponent, and then before damage you sacrifice the Selfless Spirit and hopefully win in the exchange. Happy holidays. Although I should say there's no Spell Queller, but I think Spell Queller is overrated. I think Spell Queller might be overrated even for Modern, with all the removal in the format. Like, the problem with Spell Queller is against heavy removal based decks, doesn't sit on the battlefield for very long, and is very, very awkward. Like, you wanna like counter a removal spell, but then they just kill it and the removal spell comes back anyway. And very clunky for the effect. So, I mean, Spell Queller is very, very good against decks that don't have a lot of spot removal. When Paper MTG comes back, would adding Historic to Paper tournaments be too confusing? I don't know. I don't know. Everyone, do you think adding historic to paper would be too confusing? So here's the deal. It's very clear what's a legal card in Legacy. It's relatively clear. It's pretty clear what a legal card is in Modern because it cuts off at a certain like not even time frame, just like the visually the card, but even the set. They just cut it off like, hey, from this set onward, that's Modern. It's very clear what standard is. But when it comes to historic, it's like, okay, it's like X number of cards, plus it's all these random extra cards added. And also, just out of curiosity, are there any cards in historic right now that are on the reserved list? That's actually a really important question. Are there any historic legal cards on the reserved list? Because they can put anything there. I think if there's even one reserved list card in historic, that might be a sign that it's never coming to paper. I think there are too many paper formats already. Probably, maybe. There's a paper format for everybody. I mean, there's no good way of judging what's in the format or what's not. Like, it's like X number of sets. Oh, and there's Phyrexian Obliterator and Wormcoil Engine and stuff like that, So it's very, very difficult to tell. So does anyone know? I'm guessing by the silence in the chat, there are no reserve list cards in historic, which might mean that Wizards is maybe preparing to put this in paper. Like it's easy to copy a 75, but you would constantly have to do something like what I do, and we look up cards. Is this historic legal? And it just says no, and then that's it. Or I mean, I guess when you make decks, you go to the advanced search. A lot of sites have this. Okay, I'm looking for a blue-white. I'm looking for a creature. I want a creature, and I want it to be a spirit. It's a spirit. Spirit, damn it. And then we're going to choose the format. CMC can be anything. Legal and historic. All right, what do you got? What do you got for me? Boom. 33 cards, and then I would just sift through all these things. But I don't think that's going to be very intuitive to new players. This is for people who are a little bit more committed to Constructed. Not going to be a beginner-friendly format unless like they have the help of their friends. So not yet. No reserve list cards are in historic yet. Ah, interesting. Scryfall says there's no reserve list cards in historic. So you can actually filter for reserve list cards? Interesting. So maybe that is a sign that Wizard says, you know what, maybe one day we're reserving the right to maybe go to paper. Because you know that if they put reserve list cards in this set, it's like it's over. It's not gonna happen. Maybe. Hey, let's think deep here. Historic one day is going to have all the sets of Magic the Gathering, stretching all the way back to Alpha. Maybe, really in the long run, historic will replace Legacy for competitive play. How about that? It's their way of re-engineering no reserved list Legacy. You see, people wouldn't accept no reserved list Legacy up front. But what if you reverse engineer it from the back all the way to what it eventually becomes? So right now, online, we've got no reserved list Legacy, more or less, for whatever digital cards that they have. And then as they keep adding cards and they neglect to add the reserved list cards as they keep going back in sets and then adding more really old cards just to make it fun, and they go all the way back, they eventually create no reserved list Legacy. And then but it's not called no reserved list Legacy. It was just called historic the entire time. Tinfoil hat thinking right here. I hope not. It's hard to get cards on Arena. Well, maybe one day it's going to be easier. Like today it's bad. And they know it's bad. It'll get better. It's hard to get new cards, but like still you know how to invest. You can still invest in a deck and then start grinding away. Tuxtev's like an angry no. Nope. Tuxtev doesn't want to live in this sort of world where we have no reserve. We have Kira Great Glass Spinner for spirits. They still have some cards here in historic. This is not bad. Dungeon Geists, ETB, tap a creature, doesn't untap. I don't know. Maybe it's crap, but I think it's a powerful effect. Eagle is a great card. We have Ghostly Pilferer. Need slightly more interactive cards. Kira's not that well, it's sort of interactive. Rattle Chains, Nebelgast, Shacklegeist, Skyclave Apparition. There's some good stuff here. Spectral Sailor, Supreme Phantom. So 2 lords and a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff for historic and spirits. But yeah, getting back to that, if they're not putting any reserved list cards in historic, and then eventually they get all the sets from Magic the Gathering, and like they said, they're not going to print the random draft crap. It's just going to be like the good playable cards, which is how that they can get through like the entire history of Magic cards all the way back to Alpha. They'll just ignore all the useless, unplayable stuff. We might be seeing no reserved list Legacy. That could be a real thing. I doubt that's a plan because remember, historic set cards were originally going to cost 2x the wild cards. So what? They can still do that as they work all their way all the way back. My strat has been build mono blue tempo with grind gold and packs for free with that. So, I mean, if you grind, like I didn't even grind that much and I had like a ton of gold. I had like 75,000 in coins. Like I think you can realistically grind new decks. I mean, you have to grind and you have to grind like day and night, but I actually think you can basically play on MTG Arena for free. You can't swap your decks left and right. You have to choose a deck, pick it, buy into it, let it help you grind a bunch of tickets, and you work your way from there. Like, how much can you earn from those tournaments? You enter for 1,000, you can walk out with I don't know how much, but every 1,000 coins is a booster, and the matches go pretty quickly. And finishing the rewards also helps. There's so many sets, though. Can you really see them going back that far? They said that they're going to go back. They're going to go back. They don't need to print all the cards. There's going to be some sets where there's only 3 playable cards I would ever see playing Constructed, and the rest are garbage. And that's all that they would design. It will save them a lot of time. So that's basically what they're going to do. And then so they get all the most prominent cards first, and then afterwards they can fill in the gaps with any like really niche sort of useful stuff. But they're going to neglect to design on MTG Arena any of the really useless draft cards. So they can go pretty far. They can go far back pretty quickly if they just design. If they only include the most practically useful constructed cards. Do you think the way they're going away from trading, that they're getting close to gambling in a few other countries? I feel like pushing Arena to be illegal in a few other countries. I don't know what to say. This has been gambling from the start. It's a booster. And you can open valuable stuff inside. I mean, and it's random. It's completely random. I experienced my first sense of gambling when I was like 12 years old. Was I going to open up that Charizard and that Pokemon TCG pack? And oh my god, I needed to find another $5 to try again. I mean, they're really, I mean, I don't know what to say. That's all I have to say. We all know what it is. We all know what it is. It is what it is. And Historic was a placeholder for Pioneer. Times change. No, I think Pioneer is still a deck. I'm sorry, it's still a form. Is still its own unique format. People are like blurring Historic and Pioneer constantly because it shares the same space today. But Historic eventually is going to add enough sets that it's going to look like a wildly different format. I was expecting Arena to stop at Pioneer, which is why I was surprised that they brought in Mirror Regery. No, Historic is going to be a completely different beast. I did the math. It takes about 3 months to grind a deck for free. There you go. How many decks do you need a year? I play one deck a year. In fact, I play one deck every 7 years. I haven't changed a damn thing. So if you just stick to one deck, so it's problematic if you're playing standard, or it might not even be that problematic when you're playing standard because you probably grind certain cards that can be used in future decks as you change your deck. But for decks going into the long run, Pioneer, Historic, I think getting a new deck for free every 3 months is fine, or even 6 months is fine. My strategy is to buy into Magic the Gathering online decks and ride that shit into the ground. There you go. Technically, you could reprint a card like Force of Will into Standard and be okay as long as every other blue card is very bad to play like in original Zendikar. I get in theory, but I think a lot of people would be very upset to see Force of Will in Modern. But I wouldn't be one of them. I would not be one of them. Here's an opinion. Arena feels weird to me. There's too much going on in the screen. I prefer Magic the Gathering Online, where the user interface is simple or bare bones if you look at it negatively, but the gameplay is more interesting. The only thing I don't like about Arena, okay, I personally, I love Arena, but when everything's on the battlefield, I don't like that you don't know really what's going on. The pictures are sort of small and squashed, and I think from a spectator perspective, it becomes more difficult. Now, Cardboard Live has made it like more bearable. Like, it made it very good because you can like use your cursor to like see what the cards are in real time, but that's only if you are watching it live on stream on Twitch. If someone's watching it in a YouTube video, it can become more difficult to tell what's going on. You don't see the names of cards. So, but overall, I don't mind. I like playing on Arena a lot. I like how fast it is. Used to play Mono Blue Tempo to grind. It's got a lot of game. In fact, the version I use is not far off removed from the build that Nikachu used to use. Wow. Still good. Maybe I got to get back into using it. What I meant is that Historic was a placeholder until they added Pioneer to Arena, but now Historic has branched into its own format. I think Historic was always meant to be its own format. Like, Historic... Didn't Historic come first? Historic came first, Pioneer came second. I think Historic's been with us for a while. Like, I want to say that Historic has been with us for quite... Maybe I'm wrong. Which came first, Historic or Pioneer? Like, there wasn't any intention... I think there was Historic first, but I could be wrong. Maybe Pioneer came first. Pioneer came like a month after Historic. Okay. So very close at the same time. But it's very clear what both of them are going to be. Historic is the legacy of MTG Arena. Pioneer, at least for MTG Arena, is going to act like a pseudo-modern, like a larger pool format, but not everything. All right. You know what time it is, everyone. It's Decklist review time. ! Deck review. Give me the space, give the URL to your deck list, the URL, and leave any comments. What's the format? What's we need help with? Need help with the sideboard? Need a better win condition? Let us know. And also, you know what? You may have problems you don't even know. We're gonna sniff them out. We're gonna look at that mana base. We're gonna be checking it twice, making sure that double red is either naughty or nice. So yes, do submit. It is time to submit your deck list. And as you all submit your deck list, we're going to thank our sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, the content site on Commander, Pioneer, Modern, Standard, and more in the form of podcasts, articles, and videos. The Manabase is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online. And Fusion Gaming is my favorite local game store, a Canadian site. The deal of the week this week, save up to 20% off all Double Masters singles. Things like Force of Will, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Mana Crypt. Mana Crypt is in so many sets, so many opportunities to get a deal on Mana Crypt. Yeah, my favorite local game store. If you need these cards, go check it out. Always a new deal of the week every single week, so go always check in to see what the new deal is. If there's something you're looking for a discount on. And just remember, it's in Canadian dollars, so your American dollars, if you have American dollars, stretch a little bit further. And also, we are going to thank... oh, yes. We're going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. And if you want to experiment with new ideas, if you want to buy into a new deck, play test the waters, or if you just like to switch to the hot new thing week in and week out, you can do that with Mana Traders. And you can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below. But if you're looking to save some money, trying this out, you can do so using my coupon code Nikachu. Get 15% off your first 3 months. We have deck lists. Unified Will could see playing Merfolk. I used to play it. I don't play it anymore because it's just near damage. You need to have more creatures than your opponent to counter something, and that is just hard now. I was thinking about it recently because my Simic Merfolk deck can't really play Deprive very well, and I could use another counter spell. Maybe I should look into Unified Will just for matchups that don't use removal. I should look into it. Maybe I got to look into that. Unified Will. Maybe Unified Will is better than I think. It's a single blue. All right, deck review pick. Better Otter's deck list has been chosen. Modern Jeskai Ascendancy. A combo deck. This is not the type of link I was talking about, but let's see what we can do with it. It's going to be very difficult to interpret the deck. Maybe it's not too bad. Well, it's too bad. It's not too bad. We can live with this. So we can't read some of the cards. We got 4 Mishra's Baubles, 4 Mox Ambers. There's not really... Well, it is a Jeskai Ascendancy deck, right? So Mishra's Bauble, Mox Amber, Serum Vision, Sleight of Hand, Lightning Bolt, Chromatic Sphere, 2 Underworld Breach, 4 Emery. Because this deck... Oh, it's a mishmash of Jeskai Ascendancy using Fate Stitcher... And also that old Underworld Breach deck that tried to make a big combo appearance, but then just disappeared. Especially after the banning of Mox, Arkham's Astrolabe. So Jeskai Ascendancy, which is the most absolutely... How do I put this? Not obscene. It's the most convoluted win condition of all time, or engine for a combo deck. Let's get Jeskai Ascendancy on the screen. This card is terrible. This card should not have seen print. They must R&D must have been sniffing glue when they designed this card. It's a 3-mana enchantment, really not hard to cast because a combo deck. A lot of these combo decks they can spend any mana. They have all the mana in the world, you know. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They thought this was going to go into an aggro deck. Absolutely not. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So you can loot infinitely so long as you have enough mana to generate, which of course if you have a mana dork out, you have infinite mana to generate, and you can just draw through your deck, and your creature keeps getting bigger as you keep using your mana dork. Now this is not going to be one of those lists. This is a bit different. This one's using Fate Stitcher, which says you may tap or untap another target permanent and unearth. So you can unearth it for a blue. Automatically has haste, by the way. That's not intuitive. When you unearth a creature, automatically has haste. And the idea is you untap a land, you cast a non-creature spell, Mishra's Bauble, Mox Amber, whatever. Every single time you cast like anything, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you loot. So Fate Stitcher untaps, which means it can tap to untap a land again, and you can just start. And as long as you keep drawing into Serum Visions and Lightning Bolts and Chromatic Spheres, like you just keep digging through your deck. And then, of course, if you have Underworld Breach cast eventually, and you gain mana when you play Mox Amber, you gain mana because you play this Mox Amber, you untap the Fate Stitcher, and assuming there's a legendary permanent on the battlefield, now you're making mana. We got Emery here. So anyway, this is a cool list. I think this is really cool. I actually think I really like the direction of this list. It's the old classic Jeskai control deck, but it's utilizing new cards like Underworld Breach. It's got Timely Reinforcements, Mystical Dispute, Soul Guide Lantern on the side. Oh, and it's using Gigantha. For sure, why not? Saheeli. Saheeli is a good card in decks like this because it's like a young Pyromancer, but in the form of a Planeswalker, and every single one of these spells is going to trigger it. Create a 1/1 elemental token, and 3 Abrade. List, yeah, looks clean. Looks clean as hell. What was the comments here? 13-2 with French ascendancy today. I originally thought the Monastery Mentor was better than Saheeli Sublime Artificer, but Saheeli is less fragile and makes a mid-range game plan possible. Yeah. How old is this? December 6th? Pretty new. I will hate it if this deck becomes popular. I'm like, I will like it and hate it. Like, I can play Chalice on 1 or whatever, but it doesn't even look like this deck is going to be that weak to Chalice on 1 anyway, because they have Teferi Time Raveler to bounce it. So, like, any of the hate cards that you could possibly have, I really hate a deck like this playing Teferi Time Raveler. I would really hate playing against something like this. Well, you just heard? Yeah, Floyd Mayweather's fighting Logan Paul. I don't know why they're doing that. Like, Logan can't even last 4 rounds against other amateur boxers, and he's going to go up against, like, you know, debatably the best ever. Not Magic related, but I'll check that match out when it happens. I have no feedback for this list. This is a well-crafted list, and if you're interested in a combo deck to hit the metagame at an angle that no one's going to be expecting, I think this is a cool thing to play. I mean, the fact that you can go Teferi, bounce something, they probably can't deal with Teferi, and when it gets to your turn, you probably just win on the spot. You probably just win on the spot. Oh yeah, Floyd. What is it? Floyd Money is not Floyd. I think it's just Floyd Money Mayweather. He knows how to make that money. Yeah, I've actually watched quite a bit of. I'm not like a huge super boxing fan, but I've watched quite a bit of boxing. The hilarious thing about Floyd Mayweather in his corner is his corner doesn't even give him any advice. You know, on one side it's like, oh no, you got to punch, you got to jab, you got to go left, you got to get around, you got to get in there. And then Floyd's corner is like, you're the man. You're the man. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And like they just give him absolutely nothing because they don't need to give him anything. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious. The man's a living legend. Anyway, sweet list. Thanks for sharing. So if you want to think, that deck is clean, very well built, and has the results already to show for it. So 13-2, that means there's at least a 5-0 in there. So it's going to get published soon. Deck review pick. Mild Bobby Sauce's deck list has been chosen. A modern Reanimator deck with a Pyromancer backup plan. Would like to know what you think. The Pyromancer backup plan. Just like the other deck that we just saw. A combo deck with the Pyromancer with its own Pyromancer backup plan. Okay. Insolent is this mono red? No, it's a Goryo's Vengeance deck. Okay, Insolent Neonate, Legion Loyalist. What the hell? Young Pyromancer, Simian Spirit Guide, Gyruda. ETB, each player puts top 4 cards. Their library into their graveyard. Put a creature card with an even converted mana cost from among them onto the battlefield under your control. But only one. What's the restriction again? Deck can only contain cards with an even converted mana cost. So Drakuseth, Maw of Flames. Whenever it attacks, deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. Not the most impressive Reanimator target, to be honest. Bedlam, Reveler, Ulamog. That's a good Reanimator target. Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, Cathartic Reunion, Goryo's Vengeance, Manamorphose. Do you even have enough ways of getting your creatures in the graveyard? Seriously? You have 8 ways? Cathartic Reunion and Insolent Neonate. I think you need a few more. I have no idea, Mike the Mailman. We need... So hold on, let me look at a normal Goryo's Vengeance deck. I swear that there's at least more than 8. Let's look at an old one. It can be an old one with like Faithless Looting. I don't care. Spells Through the Breach. Okay, so that was like an alternate way of cheating it onto the battlefield. Grizzlebrand, Through the Breach, Faithless Looting. Okay, Collective Brutality was another way in Cathartic Reunion. So this deck had 12 ways of cheating a creature in play. I think you need either you go that direction with the, what's it called, Through the Breach, or you play with something like Collective Brutality, which would not even be that bad in the metagame because one side you can either kill creatures, gain life, which would, gaining life is great right now, hitting Scourge of the Skyclaves, hurting the Prowess decks, the Burn decks. But also you get to discard your win condition outlets. So anyway, this Legion Loyalist, for example, has no business in this deck. I also don't really like Young Pyromancer. I don't think you have enough spells for this deck either. Yeah, you should use Collective Brutality. Now, I don't mind this Young Pyromancer game plan, but maybe it's got to come in the sideboard or something. You have Blood Moon. If you can put that in the main, I think that would be better. Blood Moon is actually well positioned right now. I don't even know if this is a side... normally, yes, it should be in the sideboard, but I think it's relatively well positioned at the moment that you could squeeze this in the main deck. You have 19. I guess 19 is okay. Simian Spirit Guide. Yeah, I definitely don't like the Legion Loyal. Okay, how about this? Take out the Legion Loyalist. Take out something else. You can keep the Young Pyromancer if you want, and put in Collective Brutality. That would put your at least 4 Collective Brutality. That would put your spell count to 23, making Young Pyromancer better. And what are we taking out? Maybe 2 Legion Loyalists for sure. Maybe some Simian Spirit Guides. I know you want to go more all in, but maybe you don't need to go that direction. Why not putting Rotting Regisaur? It's not a bad idea. Frankly, I think Rotting Regisaur is a pretty underrated card. At the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card. Not a bad idea. 3 mana, 7/6 creature. Why doesn't this card see more play? Is it just Fatal Push? It's a 7/6 creature for 3 mana. You can have a 7... imagine you ran... I mean, this is magical fairyland here, but let's say you go turn 1 Birds of Paradise, turn 2 Rotting Regisaur. That's a 7/6 creature on turn 2. Why don't we see this card seeing more play? And then it's just used in a deck that can discard cards. No evasion. That's probably a big deal, to be honest. Yeah, no evasion, no trample. But still, what if you just got this out I don't know. You could say the same thing about Tarmogoyf. It also has no evasion or trample, but it has opposite stats. It's usually a 5. It's usually a 4, 5, or 6 something else. This thing is enormous. This thing is just outright stupid enormous. And everything that you have against this card, Tarmogoyf has the same problems. Also gets chumped. This is also true. It's not as good as a 1 mana 12/12, but still not every deck needs to go down the Death Shadow route. Anyway, I don't know if this card deserves to be in the deck because it's a very slow discard outlet, and also doesn't have synergy with the so this is the wrong deck list. Doesn't have synergy with the Young Pyromancer. I think this deck does want to be a little bit lower on the curve. So yeah, dump Legion Loyalist. Maybe dump a Gyruda. I mean, I don't know if this is necessary. Or maybe Bedlam Reveler. Well, actually, Bedlam Reveler will get better when you play with Collective Brutality. So, Bedlam Reveler is okay. You actually don't have many payoffs for your Goryo's Vengeance, to be honest. You have Ulamog, a Drakuseth. I don't think you have enough payoffs for your cards. Or maybe you do. Maybe you can, like, sometimes discard this, Goryo's Vengeance at back, draw 3. That's not bad. Maybe Bedlam Reveler is a fine card. Still like Rotting Rats? Whoa, Rotting Rats. ETB, each player discards a card and unearth. I'm not in love with this card. Not interactive. Yeah, you can. It's a discard outlet, but like 1/1 creature. Otherwise, still costs 2 mana. Not in love. I would rather play Collective Brutality, which can be more interactive in the metagame right now. So that would be my suggestion, and hopefully you still have enough. Well, hopefully between like Bedlam Reveler, drawing cards, and Cathartic Reunion, you can dig to your like big, beefy win condition. So I guess you got to get rid of Legion Loyalist. Maybe some Simian Spirit Guides, or maybe some other cards here, like maybe shave a Lightning Bolt or something to make room for the Collective Brutalities. Because you need more discard outlets, or you can't, or like these cards are gonna get stuck in your hand, and you're just not gonna do anything with them. Or maybe you can get to 8 lands and exile 2 Simian Spirit Guides to get your Ulamog in play. Also, hold on, Ulamog has no business in this deck because you need to cast this card. This is a cast trigger. So you actually have to replace the Ulamog with something else. Because if you cheated in play with Goryo's Vengeance, it doesn't matter. I mean, unless you want to exile your opponent's library, but I don't think that's like particularly useful. Yeah, why no Grizzlebrand? Grizzlebrand is totally legal. Totally could be in this deck. So I think Ulamog should be replaced with something else. This Ulamog's the best ability, which is when you cast it, exile 2 permanents. That only happens if you actually cast it with mana, not if you cheated in play. So we got to replace Ulamog with like Grizzlebrand or a 4th Draguseth, Maw of Flames, or something like that. Or another Gyruda or something like that. Anyway, that's my feedback. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully it's valuable. Sideboard, you know what? You're more of a hardcore combo deck. I might prefer to have Thoughtseize instead of Inquisition of Kozilek. Pithing Needle's probably fine. Soul Guide Lantern's probably fine. Angrath's Rampage is probably fine. And Blood Moon. I would love to see this in the main deck, to be honest. Well, they say, here's the deal. Like, yeah, you could cut the Reanimator plan and do all this other stuff, but they very specifically made a deck for that's Reanimator. So, got to stick to the Reanimator plan with the backup plan. Anyway, I hope some of that feedback was valuable. Thank you very much for the deck list. All right, that's it for Coffee and MTG today. Yeah, if you loved the show, give a like or something. I don't know or keep watching the stream. Okay, so this Coffee and MTG is going to move. Okay, I'm making an executive decision here. Coffee and MTG is going to move. If you love Coffee and MTG and you want to keep following it, or maybe I shouldn't say where it's going to move. It's definitely going to move at least to Facebook. It's probably going to move to one of my YouTube channels, so you will be able to still participate in Coffee and MTG on a variety of different platforms. Decklist review is going to get like really awkward and weird because it's not going to be chosen at random. And the reason I'm doing this is that I got like 50-ish people here today, but I don't know where, like, it still hurts my analytics on Twitch. And I think I would like to reach more people at once. Time's not going to change yet. Time might change next year, but so far the time is going to be the same. But I'm going to try to make a move to become a Twitch. Well, it's going to be weird. If I become a Twitch partner, then I got to go back to Twitch anyway, because if you're a Twitch partner, then you can only stream on Twitch, period. You can't go anywhere else. But it also gives me some room to see if there's another platform that likes my streaming abilities. They want to see Coffee and MTG somewhere. So I'm just giving a heads up. It might start on Wednesday. So make sure you're following me on Facebook, on either of my YouTube pages, just to be sure to see it. Are you ready for the final seasons? I don't know what that means. I guess I'm not ready. But yes, we're streaming gameplay this afternoon. Right, immediately after this stream, we're gonna start a gameplay stream. So, just giving a heads up, we are gonna move Coffee and MTG away from Twitch. It's going to go to other platforms, but my gameplay will still be on Twitch. Gameplay is which YouTube channel? Better be subscribed to both, because probably it's going to be on both. If I can, I'll experiment either tonight or tomorrow with. Yes, we can still see the comments. The comments will still be seen. Can you see your comments? You mean earlier? I might have missed something. But if you're on any of the other platforms, like here's the hope. I can stream to Twitter, Facebook, both my YouTube pages, all at once. That's the plan. The Twitch deal is if you're an affiliate on Twitch, you can if you're streaming on Twitch, you are only streaming on Twitch, nothing else. But off of Twitch, I can stream everywhere at once, except Twitch. Who's using Facebook? A lot of people are using Facebook these days. Yeah, lots of people use multiple platforms. Here's the weird thing. There's like hundreds of people that were watching Coffee and MTG on YouTube, but then when I was going to Twitch, like 30 to 50 people showed up. We got to get back. Yeah, maybe we got to stream. I could stream to LinkedIn. Nikachu MTG on LinkedIn. I don't have an account yet, but or not a Nikachu MTG account. That would be hilarious. Okay, so if you like the channel, just be aware. If you want to watch it live and also want to watch the replays, you can find it on those new platforms. No problem. You can still watch it on Facebook. Or sorry, you can still watch it on YouTube. But the replays might end up being only on Twitter and Facebook. Especially with this economy. All right, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. If you want to watch, we're going to get in some gameplay today, so don't change that channel. This has been Nikachu, Merfolk Master. Keep brewing up that coffee. Let's keep brewing up the magic. See you next time.